Welcome to this Memorial Day weekend edition of Second City Sports Zoom style,
Zoom style.
along with Miss Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. You can find yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow this podcast, Second City Sports, first via the video version right here on YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can find our videos fresh and ready for you every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube. Once again, every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. You can find our podcast versions is ready for you for your listening pleasure every Tuesday and Saturday. Once again, every Tuesday and Saturday at War on Anchor. Once again, at WARR on Anchor. That kicks you over to Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and that iHeartRadio app. We're available on all podcast platforms. Make sure you type in that search engine box, WARR on Anchor. You can go to our website, weareregalradio.com, and you can follow us on all social media platforms, including right here on YouTube. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yes, as our good friend George Offman always says, subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.
Mm-hmm. Wish we had like
and we are
No, we just do. I wish we had like a neon sign for that, like subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We have it like right across the bottom.
Yes, we got to work on that. We got to work on that. The powers that be, i.e. Daedrin and Kyle, let's work on that, please.
Yes, please.
And we are unapologetically fun. Lakeena, as we kick off this holiday weekend edition of this program, we're going to have some fun discussing my favorite baseball team. That's the Chicago White Sox. After being swept last weekend in the Bronx, they did what I expected them to do, was take 2 out of 3 from the first place as of right now. The NL Central leading St. Louis Cardinals. Lakeena, the White Sox up until the series finale on Wednesday, the White Sox were 5 for 43 with runners in scoring position. Of course, that was much of that poop was due to their inability to drive in runs during the majority of the series in New York last weekend against the Yankees. But the bats came alive last Monday and Tuesday on the south side. Of course, we'll get into this later, but as fan capacity increased to 60%, it was nice to see more White Sox fans out there. Some of you were doing some dumb stuff. We'll get into that later. But back to on the field matters. The White Sox bats came alive. The Yamanita, Mercedes, had another home run. Tim Anderson starting to come through. Yasmani Grandal, I'm not going to beat up on him too much, but is he really the catcher of the future for the White Sox? We'll get into that as well. But as we said all year, Lakeena, this White Sox team is led by their starting pitching. Dylan Cease, he had a great game on Thursday night, striking out 10 Baltimore Orioles players as that series for this weekend got underway on Thursday. But going back to that St. Louis series, Lakeena, Lance Lynn flirted with a no-hitter. He lost it in the 6th inning, but he was still able to pick up the win. Liam Hendricks, I don't know what's going on with him. He damn near blew it on Tuesday, but he was able to get out of it to preserve the series win for the Southsiders. I like what I'm seeing for this team, Lakeena, as they started to play better competition. I'm not going to say there are issues. Of course, no team is perfect. Every team has flaws. Mm-hmm. But I liked what I saw from the Sox earlier this week, taking 2 out of 3 from St. Louis in your home turf.
Which I think is what you wanted, right? After what happened with that Yankee series. I think this is sort of like, you
turn it around mentally, you bounce back quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you win 2 out of 3 against a good, not great Cardinals team, but a first-place Cardinals team nonetheless. So anytime you win a series against the Cardinals, I think it's always a good thing. I'm sure Cubs fans like to say thank you very much. They're a little closer to the Cardinals now. We'll get to them in a minute. But look, the Sox did what they're supposed to. I mean, they had solid pitching, they had timely hitting. Mercedes is still hitting the ball very well, and look, I think the Cardinals made some very uncharacteristic, un-Cardinals like errors, especially in that Tuesday game. But yeah, look, I think this is what you want to see. Tim Anderson had some time at bats. Jose Abreu showing you why he's the reigning MVP. Had about I think 5 or 6 RBIs, in that series. And look,
he had a home run too.
Yes, he did, and I think that's what you want, right? Madrigal, I guess, for people still like him. He had a couple of big, a big RBIs there. But I think, you got what you wanted from your pitching. Look at you, Leo pitched a gem in that Wednesday game, and look, I think if you're the White Sox, I think you're good at. You should be really glad that where you're at right now. I mean, after that Yankee series over the weekend, last weekend, the wheels could have started falling off, but you didn't. You win. You went 2 out of 3 against like I said, a good, not great Cardinals team, but I think it should help with the confidence. And you got the Orioles this week. You won on Thursday 9-1. As long as you at least win the series against the Orioles, I think you'd be feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good, excuse me.
Yeah, if you're a White Sox fan, you should feel pretty good. As we said in our last episode, the White Sox should take care of business at home on the South Side. You had 3 against the Cardinals. You took 2 games there. You have Baltimore for 4 games this weekend. You took 1 game already. That was the opener you just mentioned on Thursday. And because you have a tough road trip ahead next week, you have 4 against the Cleveland Indians, including the doubleheader on Memorial Day on Monday. So it's going to be important for the White Sox to pile up as many wins as possible, especially against lesser teams. And a sign of a good team is you don't have prolonged losing streaks. Yes, it's a long season in baseball. You're going to lose some games, but you better hope it doesn't last like you have a 5-game losing streak, a 7-game losing streak. You lose 9 out of 10, 10 out of 12, things along that line. You got swept last weekend. You bounced back quickly against a very good, not great, but very good Cardinals team. The key is to turn it around mentally. Don't let it settle in. Oh, here we go again. We're going to lose. You bring that bad vibe and that bad attitude out into the field. When that happens, everything's going to go all right for you. So for the White Sox, they took care of business so far here in the early part of their home schedule for this week. So let's see if they can finish off Baltimore for this weekend. Yours truly will be there on Saturday and Sunday cheering my you-know-what off as yours truly makes his return back home. So follow me on social media. I'll have everything for you. But getting back to on the field, I like what I'm seeing from this White Sox team, at least offensively. The bats are starting to heat up. The starting pitching has been consistent again, even in Wednesday's loss against the Cardinals. The starting pitcher was very good again, Dallas Keuchel. I know he can't catch a break in terms of run support in wins, but you like to see some consistency in him. I just want to see the White Sox back him up for once for some runs, okay? That bullpen, I'm not going to waste my breath on Liam Hendricks. Hopefully I don't see him this weekend. If I do, he better be on point or else, but I'll leave him alone. Aaron Bummer, I am concerned about him, Lakeena. I don't know if you saw him on Wednesday.
You should be. You should be.
I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet, but how do I describe this?
Yeah, he got you all like flummoxed here. You're all tongue-tied.
Yeah, how can I describe this? I'm getting up out of my seat. I want to throw something out the window. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater yet, but I'm getting ready to get up out of my seat, and something's about to go awry, okay? I don't want to do it, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
The only person that's consistently in the that's performing out of the bullpen, actually 2 people. Michael Kopech, I know he has a hamstring problem. Hopefully that gets taken care of in due time. But the other pitcher out of the bullpen that I like so far, he's been good these last few weeks, is Matt Foster.
Yeah, Foster has really been lights out for the White Sox. And look, as far as Bummer's concerned, I mean, you hope he can get out of that slump. I mean, if he doesn't, I think, Tony La Russa is going to have some problems. But I think luckily you have, and I've been saying this, that middle relief and the bullpen, those are going to be, if anything that keeps the White Sox from going far, will be your bullpen and your middle relief and your bullpen. That's going to be the thing that's going to keep the White Sox from going to the promised land, and I'm sure White Sox fans have been praying for. So if Bummer doesn't get out of this funk that he's in, Tony was going to have some decisions to make. So I think hope he just wait out and hope he can get out of that. But if he doesn't, then, you may have to take him out for a while.
Yeah, if you're GM Rick Hahn, I think we discussed this on our last episode. What veteran arm in the bullpen can you get?
Just to say,
because
is there
everybody's
anybody
looking
out
for
there?
starting pitching and everybody's looking for bullpen help.
Yeah.
And I know Rick Hahn has some assets. Do you quote unquote waste all of them or majority of them for veteran reliever just to go for it for this year, or you can you get somebody that maybe you can have a surprise second half of the season, maybe
Mm-hmm.
catch lightning in the bottle? That's dangerous as well. So if you're Rick Hahn, you're in a tough position, but you still have a little bit more time. Not much time, but a little bit more time as we end the month of May as we head into June. I think you can go to the middle of June. You can finally get a good feel on what your team is. I know as far as the injury list is concerned, I believe you could correct me if I'm wrong, Lakeena, but I believe Eloy Jimenez has been transferred to the 60-day disabled list.
That's
If
what
I'm correct on it.
that's the rumor. Yep.
So if that's the case, it will tell what Rick Hahn does at the trade deadline, which is July 31st for those of you scoring at home. Will Rick Hahn still go after that big outfielder with a bat? Or will he concentrate on another starting pitcher, or just, as we said before, go with whoever's the best and available middle reliever out there who's approaching free agency, who doesn't cost that much, or whoever that guy is. This next month will tell the story of where Rick Hahn goes as far as the trade deadline, but it's all decided by what the players do on the field first.
Yeah, they've got a tough schedule too after this Baltimore series. They've got Cleveland for 4 in Cleveland. They got 4 for Detroit. Detroit's not, they're not, bad, but they're not great either. They're kind of middle of the road. Then you have 3 against Toronto next week, the week after next. And then you have Detroit again for 3 in Detroit. And then you have Tampa Bay. The Rays have been playing very well. We'll get to them in a little bit, but and also you have 4 against Houston. So the start of the month of June for the White Sox, that's a pretty murderer's row schedule. Yes, there's some series that they can win, but you're up against like divisional leaders now. So let's see if this is going to be like a measure to how good this team really is. I mean, you failed against the Yankees, you got swept, but you can kind of try to rebound against the Rays and the Astros and the Blue Jays. We'll see where they're at.
Yeah, hopefully you take care of business this weekend, as we mentioned, against Baltimore at home before you head on the road to Cleveland and Detroit. Winning the games in your division is the utmost important thing. If you could split against Cleveland and sweep Detroit, or let us know. I believe that's a 3-game series, correct? Next weekend in Detroit. If you do no worse than take 2 out of 3, that's a very solid road trip before you come home to face Detroit again, and then Toronto in a couple weeks here in Chicago. That's going to be a tough stretch, but I believe this White Sox team can do it. But let's see if that offense can pick up. Let's see if that solid pitcher can stay consistent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but can it stay consistently good? And that bullpen, they better pick it up fast, or else it's going to be trouble.
Consistency. And like I said, the bullpen better pick it up. You're listening to Second Season Sports Zoom Style along with Cindy Brown. I'm Lakeena McGee. Let's go to the north side now. For the Cubs, now the Cubs did what they're supposed to do. They swept the Pirates, including one of the craziest on Thursday, probably one of the craziest baseball plays you'll ever see. Okay. There was 2 outs. There was a runner. Contreras was on second, I believe, and Javi Baez was at bat, and he hits the ball. He does a little try. It could be a routine, grounder, right? No problem. The shortstop throws it to Gonzalez, like the first baseman for the Pirates. He didn't step on the bag. Javi was actually closer to him, and so he was going to try to tag him. So he tried to tag him, and Javi does this walk, kind of like the moonwalk and run backwards thing. He said, "Hey, you can't catch me." And then he gets closer. Then Contreras, not knowing that Contreras was like circling around third base, he scores. Then he tries to go back to first, and then the Gonzalez actually misses throws it to the infielder, and all heck broke loose. And the call Bucciami and Jim DeShade did it better, did the call better than I did. Looking up on YouTube, it's already got almost 5 million views of this recording. So just a crazy play, and probably, like I said, one of the craziest plays you'll ever see.
And Javi ended up on second base after all that.
Did. After all that, yeah. Well, actually, the Shades actually told him to keep going, but the third baseman was right there. So, but on a serious note, though, they did sweep the Pirates. They have we get series against the Reds. I'm hearing like a lot of Cubs fans are sort of like they don't know what to think because this was supposed to have been like a quote unquote rebuild, if you will, but now they're only a half game out. As of right now, they're a half game out on the Cardinals. Like we've been saying, the Cardinals are a good, not a great team. If the Cubs do by the trade deadline end up maybe 3 games up, 2-3 games up, or at least near first place, Jed Hoyer cannot sell like, oh, we're still gonna try to trade, maybe get something for KB or get something for Kimbrel if they're playing well. They can't sell it to the fan base. I'm sorry, they can't. So I would say try to go for it. The division's winnable. I've heard people say that, well, this is kind of like what the Blackhawks were early in their season and what the Bulls were early in their season, blah, blah, blah. But look, baseball's different. You're pretty much even with everybody in that division. So why not try and go for it? So, Sid, what do you think about all of this stuff I just said?
If you're the Cubs, you have to go for it. I know you don't have much in your minor league system right now. You're trying to rebuild it at the same time. But as we said before the season kicked off, this division is going to be up for grabs. Even though you'll surely have the St. Louis Cardinals winning, it'll probably end up being that way when it's all said and done. But, excuse me. The mystery team to me is the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll get to them in a few minutes. But no one's going to run away with this division. It may take 85, maybe 87 wins, maybe to win this division. I'm not going to say it's going to be like 06 when the Cardinals won the World Series. They barely had 83 victories. 83 victories. You guys remember that 15 years ago or so. So it may come down to that. So if you're the Cubs, you just keep winning series, you're going to be right there. Maybe you overachieved a little bit, according to some people. But so what? You just keep winning series, keep winning ball games. You give yourself a chance at the end of the year. But what I want to focus in on for the Cubs is they scored enough runs to beat the Pirates in this series, 13 to be exact. They didn't wow you with their offense, but they did enough just to help their starting pitching. They defeated Pittsburgh by score of 4-3 on Tuesday, Wednesday 4-1, and of course Thursday 5-3. But you're encouraged by their starting pitcher. Jake Arrieta picked up his 5th win of the year on Tuesday. Trevor Williams, he was struggling to start the year, but he's posted now a 3-2 record. He finally defeated his former team on Wednesday. And, of course, Kyle Hendricks has started to turn it around his last 3 starts. He did a magnificent job on Thursday. He picked up his 5th win of the year as well. So that started pitching is starting to pick up their bullpen. We talked about their bullpen in our last episode. Craig Kimball's been great. You have other guys stepping up in that middle relief. And so it looks like it's starting to come around for the Cubs. But as you mentioned with their schedule, they have a tough series coming up this weekend as we record against the Cincinnati Reds. I know people are going to look at it on the schedule. It should be 3 easy wins. I know Cincinnati's without Joey Votto, but there's bad blood between these two teams. It's a division rival, and the games against your division rivals, especially with a team with bad blood, it's not going to be easy. So if the Cubs could take care of business there, they'll give themselves a better shot before playing the NL West next week, hosting 3 against San Diego before traveling next weekend to San Francisco to play the Giants for 4.
And also they have 3 in San Diego after that. So they got a pretty tough they got a pretty tough go against the NL West, like you said, Sid. So
yeah.
It's going to be a lot to ask, but if you can at least win, just don't get swept. At least win your series. If you win your series against San Diego, split the series with the Giants. We'll get to them in a minute. And, split your series against the Padres. If you can at least get to 500, that'd be fine. If you get close to 500, if you can win your series, split the series with the Giants, and I think you can kind of be like right there still.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to take care of business against lesser opponents, as we mentioned with the White Sox just a moment ago. For the Cubs, you still have good enough talent to take care of business. Like I said, Cincinnati is not going to be an easy test. There's bad blood between these two teams, and I kind of like where the Cubs are going right now. I know you got Albert Alzolay, who started this series against Cincinnati. So hopefully he can still show signs that he could be a reliable starter for the stretch run. He's been pitching well in his last couple of starts. So I like what I see from him. Of course, Zach Davies is starting to come around. He'll actually start today's game against the Reds in the second game of the 3-game series, and then on Sunday, hopefully you can take care of business there, as you'll have. If I could pull it up here real quick. this damn computer wants to play games with me. You'll
Mhm.
have Jake Arrieta going again on Sunday, which is tomorrow for those of you that's listening to our podcast. And so you have you don't have Kyle Hendricks going in this series, but you still have Jake Arrieta, Alba Azalea, of course, started off this series, and you still have good enough starting pitchers to keep you in ball games. Let's just see if the offense can turn up just a little bit more.
Yeah,
And they should have enough juice, especially going against your hated rival in your division.
and they've got guys coming back from injuries too. So hopefully, if you're the Cubs, they'll be at full strength just in time for that tough stretch against San
Mm-hmm.
Diego and San Francisco. So hopefully, maybe you can. And I think they know that they can't, 3, 4, 5 runs, that's good enough to beat the Pirates. But if you're trying to beat like the top teams
Mm-hmm.
in the West, that's not going to work. So they're going to have to dial it up if they want to, be right there in that division, in the NL Central. Because look, the Cardinals have a tough schedule too. So,
Yep.
that this is your chance to kind of like even yourselves out.
Yep. You're listening to Second City Sports, the weekend edition, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sydney Brown. As we talk Major League Baseball, Lakeena, what was your best or worst moments, if you had any, from this past weekend MLB?
Oh boy. Besides the Cubs, obviously winning 4 in a row. Look. The Twins have won 4 in a row. They're 9 games out in the division with the White Sox after this recording. There's the pitching is starting to get their groove going, and their hitting's been very timely. So I don't know. Look, it might not be enough for them to catch up to the White Sox, but I think they can probably try to make a go at it for one of the wild card spots. Granted they swept Baltimore, but look, they
Mm-hmm.
got a weekend series against the Royals. We'll see how they do. If they can at least sweep, at least win their series against the Royals, they can kind of be right back in it, especially since the White Sox are going to have a pretty tough schedule later on. But
Mm-hmm.
the Rays are now in first place in the AL East. Their pitching's been very good. The Yankees, they've won 7 of their last 10. Lost a couple, but they're kind of getting back on track too. Toronto, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, real quick. Corey Kluber is
Kluber's gonna
out
be
for
out.
2 months.
Yeah, that's
with
gonna
that
be.
shoulder injury.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
And
a
Aaron
tough
Hicks
one.
is out for the year with the outfielder for a wrist injury.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough for the Yankees to try to plug holes in that starting pitching, because there was a lot of depth there anyway, and also too luckily hitting wise they have a lot of depth, so they can combat that. Also, to the Blue Jays, I'm worried about the Blue Jays. They've lost 7 of their last 10. I'm a little worried about them. Vlad Jr. is doing his thing, but they're pitching, and that's kind of been the thing that I was worried about, that their pitching hasn't been very good. Let's see. The Dodgers. They've won 9 of the last 10. They could try to go for the knockout punch against the Giants this weekend. I'm sure the Giants
Mm-hmm.
were already like freaking out, like, oh wait, we got to play the Dodgers again. So,
Yep.
they hope they don't get swept. But I like what I saw from some of these teams. So look, the AL East, no one's gonna run. The Mets, I know they've won 3 in a row as of right now, but they're not gonna run away with that division either. So we got the Phillies and the Braves. The Braves are kind of starting to get there, but then they lose and they kind of are right back where they started. So what about you? What was your standouts this weekend in MLB?
This past Tuesday, I know he didn't qualify for the win, but speaking of the New York Mets, Jacob deGrom pitched 5 innings, struck out 9 Rockies batters as part of a 3-1 win. Of course, the Mets swept the Rockies in their series earlier this week. I know they had the Braves, I believe, this weekend, as we give you the rest of the weekend rundown in Major League Baseball. So the Mets stood out to me, and Jacob deGrom. The Dodgers and Astros played each other for the first time this season in front of crowds in Houston. It was only a short 2-game series, but the Dodgers dominated the first game. The Astros came back in the second game. I watched both of those games live via my computer. No shenanigans, fortunately, took place. Because we just saw
I wanted Joe Kelly to kind of yell at somebody again at TV
and then stare him down and then mock him.
That would have been a bookend right there. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You referencing what happened last year, and there was no fans in the stands. So, but you saw a good baseball from both teams. Of course, the Dodgers, as I mentioned, dominated the first game this past Tuesday. And then, of course, the next day the Astros got the better of the Dodgers. The Phillies, Lakeena. I want to believe in them, but they always had. I don't know if it's been recent history or what, but it seems like they always had trouble with the now Miami Marlins. Uh, Whenever they played them, is somehow in Miami. You can go back years and years and years, even the years that the Marlins won their World Series titles. The Phillies always have trouble down there in South Beach.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had that number in recent years for some reason. If the Marlins have with the Phillies, I don't know why, but if that's they need to get it together with that series because if they want to keep up with if they want to keep up with the Mets, I think that's going to be the thing that they need to kind of like get back into it with them because you thought that maybe the Phillies would probably be there, but then this series against the Marlins, unfortunately. So at this point, you just gotta try to shake it off. I know they play again, I think, in a couple of weeks. So just shake it off
Mhm.
and just press on.
Yep, and also too, like what is going on with the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Ooh,
Although they may have a sneaky shot and maybe get into that wild card, but not so fast. San Francisco took care of them in Arizona earlier this week, and also too, you mentioned about the Twins and the Royals. The Twins are trying to the Twins. They took care of business against Baltimore at home earlier this week. Kansas City. Maybe they'll still hang around, but I think they're going to fall off. I think, like I said before, Cleveland, they're going to be competitive, but eventually, I think the White Sox are going to overtake them and win the division by 6 games or more. That is very much still possible. So I'm looking at them. The Red Sox took care of the Braves earlier this week in Beantown.
mm-hmm.
And so, and the Padres took care of the Brewers in a couple of games. We talked about the Brewers earlier, Lakeena. They're not going to run away with this division either. I believe they're still going to be good. I know Brandon Woodruff. I watched his performance the other day in their opening game against the Padres in that series. Brandon Woodruff is good, folks, but
Yes.
there are other starting pitchers. They better pick up, or else it's going to be problems.
Big problems. And back to the Diamondbacks for a second, I was very disappointed. They've lost 11 in a row as of this recording. I don't know what to think. I mean, some people thought, like you yourself said, that maybe they could kind of throw a monkey wrench into that whole battle between the Dodgers and the Padres for that NL West. But oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Arizona. I mean, it's just brutal.
It is brutal. So, and also too, look out for the Anaheim Angels, as we said in our last
Ooh,
podcast. Mike Trout will be out 4 to 6 weeks, but ever since he's been down, Joe Manscrew has started winning.
yeah,
I
I
know they
know.
played the Texas Rangers, a young squad, but still they started winning.
Yeah, and Ohtani, I think he's kind of making a case for maybe AL MVP. I mean, he actually
Mhm.
was late for one of those one of those Rangers games because
Oops.
yeah, I guess he went to I guess like the freeway he usually takes. I mean, there was like a lot of traffic. I guess like you played for the last couple of years, you don't know how the traffic is. He made a little joke about it afterwards that he forgot how bad LA traffic can be at times. But yeah, but look, he was still very productive, and look, I think he leads the league. I think he leads the AL. I think in home runs, I believe so.
Hmm.
Or he's right near Vlad Jr. So look, and also I think he's like top 10 like in in hitting and batting too. So I mean, look, I think Ohtani I think is one of the reasons why the Angels are still kind of hanging around.
Yep, and Shohei Ohtani will be the man to carry this Anaheim Angels team, as Mike Trout, as we mentioned, is on the shelf with an injury for the next month and a half. So we'll see the Angels are made of. Can they get some starting pitching, and can Ohtani keep up this pace? So we'll see what happens on that front. Before we move on, Lakina, just here's some of the series for this weekend. Around MLB, of course, you have the Reds and the Cubs from the north side. Colorado will face the Pittsburgh Pirates. We'll see if the Pirates can do anything even more stupid on the base pass. The Milwaukee Brewers will take on the Washington Nationals in our nation's capital. The Braves and Mets, we've already mentioned. From Queens, New York. The Marlins will visit the Red Sox in Fenway Park. The New York Yankees will visit the Detroit Tigers at Comerica Park. The Blue Jays will take on the Indians. Hopefully, the Blue Jays will help out our White Sox. As I mentioned, the White Sox will host Baltimore. They started their series on Thursday. So they're in the middle of that series as we record. The Kansas City Royals will face off against the Twins again this weekend in Target Field. The Royals took 2 or 3 from the Twins a few weeks ago at Target Field. We'll see if the same thing can happen there. San Diego will play the Astros. I'm looking forward to that one. The Angels will travel to Oakland to take on the Athletics. The St. Louis Cardinals will visit the Diamondbacks. The Giants and the Dodgers will square off again for the second consecutive weekend, this time in Dodger Stadium. And the Texas Rangers will face the Seattle Mariners from T-Mobile Park. I still want to call it Safeco, but
Yeah, I
you
know.
guys know where that is.
Yeah, I'm also it's hard to break that habit, right? To T-Mobile Park. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know good old corporate names. Gotta love those. And
Uh,
I know, and the Braves and Mets are getting this Sunday Night Baseball treatment on ESPN, so that should be good. It'll be Charlie Morton against Jacob DeGrom for that game, so that should be fun. You know, no love lost between those two teams, no, no doubt. So between those NL East rivals, so we'll see how that game's going. And look, I think that probably like the best series I think for this weekend is San Fran and Los Angeles. I'm a little surprised that they're not getting the
mhm.
national TV treatment, but it is what it is. But
They'll be on Fox later on
yeah,
tonight.
they are.
Let's say
Yeah,
we always say check your local listings. Of course,
right.
it's the Giants and Dodgers, Brewers and Nationals, and then Braves and Max. Those are the one of the three games you'll be watching on your local Fox station. So as we say in the business, check your local listings.
Yep, yep,
Or if
yep.
you have an MLB TV package, you can watch all three.
Yes, you can, or you can watch it via your laptop if in your area, if
Yes.
it's blocked or whatever. So you're all good in that front.
Yep. You're listening to the weekend edition of Second City Sports. Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. As we now transition over to NBA playoff basketball, Lakeena, I don't know how we're going to get through this segment, but the Brooklyn Nets, as we expected, they're up 2-0 in their series against the Boston Celtics. I know Kyrie Irving says he hope he doesn't get any hateful treatment this weekend as the series moves to the TD Bank North Garden. Of course, Kyrie Irving played for 2 seasons for Boston in 2017 and 2018. He may ask for something that he didn't. He'll probably regret later, but I know that arena in Boston is going to be filled to 25% capacity. But back to on the court, maybe the Celtics will get one. I said this during our playoff preview show. I think the Celtics will get one. I think they'll get one of these games this weekend. But outside of that, Brooklyn's the better team. They better take care of business in a hurry.
Yeah, Tan's going to be back, so hopefully that helps a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make that much difference. I mean, Brooklyn's on a mission, and they're not going to look far ahead. So I think, by the time we reconvene next week, so that it probably might be, they might have already won their series. I'm just saying, I think.
I expect that to happen, yes.
Yeah, look, Boston might win one, but I think, I think by the time we reconvene next week, I think the series will be over with, I think. So there's no sense of worry. Like I said, I mean, look, Brooklyn's been playing well. They're playing as a unit. They're getting better. Let's just, next series, please.
Yeah, exactly. Another series that's going to close down by the time we convene next week for a faux show, as the kids would say. And shout out to our good friend Alana Tagauer.
Can we do a well-being check?
Boy, what happened to the Miami?
We got to do a
last
well-being
2
check.
games, my goodness.
Good Lord.
No shade to Alana. I know she's listening and watching, but what happened? Game 1 was really that you. Oh my. I thought it was going to be a better series. Maybe it'll still be. I doubt it, but
no.
I expect it to be a better series. Now I'm disappointed.
Yeah, where's Bam? Where's Tyler Hero? I mean,
where's Jimmy?
Where's Jimmy? I mean, look, these guys are not showing up. I mean, you can say that because they were in a bubble, but look, we'll get to the Lakers in a bit. But the Lakers seem to be playing a little bit better, and I mean, look, I think that this is showing you that maybe their style does not work. I think that, like I said, I think Milwaukee's on a mission too. So I think that might be they had revenge on their mind. So I think that might have been another reason why they're playing as well as they are. But look, good grief, a lot of these, like I said, where's Jimmy? I mean, where's Bam? Where's Tyler Hero? Where's Duncan Robinson? I mean, those were like those were the key guys as to why they got to the finals in the bubble last year. So
yeah.
I don't know what's happening this year. I don't know, maybe because it's fatigue, maybe because they got exposed. I have nothing. I don't know. Sorry, Alana, we love you, but I don't know what's going on. I have no clue.
Move it on.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah,
here.
move it on.
Next series.
Philadelphia and Washington. We'll get to the shenanigans in our next segment. We have a lot to say on that, but as far as on the court, Philadelphia up 2-0 over Washington. The Wizards, their star Russell Westbrook went down with an ankle injury. Hopefully he'll be back for the games this weekend in our nation's capital. They will play on Memorial Day. Um, we'll give you the kind of the schedule for this weekend's games coming up in just a moment. But Lakeena, the Wizards had a slight chance in Game 1, but after the Russell Westbrook injury, their chances went awry in Game 2. Hopefully, if Westbrook comes back for this weekend's games 3 and 4 in our nation's capital, maybe they'll still win, but that's about it. But if not, I sense another sweep here.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially if Westbrook's not 100%, that's the key. If he's not, then the Wizards are in serious trouble. And Bradley Beal can only do so much by himself. He's got some injury problems himself. So I expect, again, by the time we reconvene next week, Sid, I think this series will be over with too. Next series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and real quick though, I mean, the thing is that Simmons has struggled, but the good is that Tobias Harris has helped out. Seth Curry has Seth Curry has helped out. So
that's ETH, folks.
Yeah. So I think that they've had like some help from their supporting cast, and Baez doing his thing. So I think balanced scoring. I think that's probably why the 76ers are where they are right now.
In our last Eastern Conference series, the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks, of course, the series has moved to the ATL, as the kids would say, for this weekend's games. 3 and 4, of course, Game 3 has already been played. For those of you that are listening to us via our audio version, Game 4 will be tomorrow, Sunday at noon Central Standard Time on ABC. Of course, as of this recording, the series is tied up at a game apiece. We'll get to the shenanigans on the flip side. But as far as on the court is concerned, Trae Young had another monster game on Tuesday in Game 2. He had 30 points for the game, only 10 in the second half. The New York Knicks showed up. Julius Randle didn't have his greatest game, but he improved from Sunday night's Game 1. He had a good Game 2 with a double-double with 15 points and 12 rebounds. But Derrick Rose showed up. Old school homeboy from Chicago showed up. He started the second half. Alfred Payton, you go by sit on the bench. D Rose put up 26 huge points.
Yeah, so I mean, and look, I'm happy for D Rose. I'm happy for what they're doing. Taj Gibson, has been a good supporting cast member for them too. So, and look, this isn't their first rodeo, so they know. I mean, they bring that playoff experience to guys like Randall and Barrett, and then because those guys haven't experienced the playoffs, and I think that's why you have veteran guys like D Rose and Taj there. Look, it's definitely gonna be like one of those toss-ups. I mean, I know you said the Knicks in 5, but I think if Trae Young can kind of like get some help, I think that's probably gonna be the key, right? I think that's Trae Young can only do so much by himself, but he needs help. I mean, if Hunter can help out, if Bogdanovich, he has to be more consistent. Clint Capella as well. So I'm kind of like, okay.
How about Dylan Gallinari minus that bad haircut?
Yeah, don't get me started with that haircut. But yeah, he needs to play better too. So I think if the Hawks, it would be there are 4 or 5 matchups, so it wouldn't be an upset. But if the Hawks want to win this series, those guys need to step up and help Young out.
All right, let's move over to the Western Conference portion of the playoff bracket. The LeBron James-led Los Angeles Lakers, as of this recording, they lead their best-of-7 series in the first round against the Phoenix Suns 2-1. After losing Game 1, LeBron James and Anthony Davis had enough. Anthony Davis came back with a huge Game 2 with 34 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 huge blocks. And both those guys had a personal 7-0 run to close out Game 2 on the road in Arizona. Of course, on Thursday night, the Lakers won big before Devin Booker decided to do something stupid to Dennis Schroeder, which was not smart, and Jay Crowder got kicked out too. Thank goodness nothing else came about in terms of the bad side after that. But I'm looking at this Lakers team. It looks like they're focused right now. As we said before, Lakeena, given all their injury history that's going on with that team right now, they better get rid of the Suns team in 5 games or else it's going to be trouble. Chris Paul didn't play that much in Game 2, didn't really play that much in Game 3 on Thursday in Los Angeles, I think, which is smart that the Suns are saving him for Game 4, which you'll see on ABC tomorrow, which is Sunday for those of you listening to our audio version. That's at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So Phoenix needs a healthy Chris Paul if they want to have any chance to win this series.
Well, and the thing is that the paint's becoming a big problem. I think once, Ayton, did his thing in game one. Now, they kind of like closed the paint a little bit. They actually, the Lakers have scored 50 points in that area those last two postseasons, in 3 games over the last 2 postseasons. The rest of the NBA has only done it twice during that span. So I think, the key is in the paint. And so they've been able to kind of like, control the paint more. So, and I think, look, AD's been playing better, which is, I think the fact that the way he was outplayed by Aiden in game one was a wake-up call for him. He admitted it. So, I think, look, hopefully CP3, I mean, good grief. I mean, the guy can't catch a break. I mean, it's always, it's his ankle. 1 year is his ankle. It was his knee. Now it's his shoulder. It's just God, the poor guy's snake bitten. And, if he's not at the very least 75%, because those shoulder injuries can be very tricky to figure out, this might be a short series. And I'm sure if you're the Lakers, I think that's what you want. The more rest, the better.
Let's go to the other series that features the Los Angeles team, and that's the Clippers. They're in Dallas. They're in Dallas this weekend to take on the Mavericks as games 3 and 4 move to the state of Texas. As of this recording, the Mavericks lead this best-of-7 series 2-0. Lakeena, I believe I saw a stat, a team that's trailing 0-2 in a series is 4-27, something like that. Yeah. But I know in this series for sure, the Dallas Mavericks has held the Los Angeles Clippers to a pathetic 3-point shooting of 33.8%. So the Clippers cannot shoot for whatnot. I know in our last episode, Lakeena, for those of you that are watching on our YouTube channel, she was doing the whole looking for Paul George. There she goes again. To those of you listening on our podcast audio version, she's still looking for Paul George, and hopefully shows up this weekend in the Big D as the Clippers will try to tie this series up. Lakeena, do you give the Clippers a chance?
They better win tomorrow. They better, because if not, it's gonna be cursed for them. Look, we've said this before, Sid, right? We were commending the Clippers for. Oh, well, they played last night, so hopefully they won that game. But I mean, we were saying that the Clippers, no one was talking about the Clippers, and they were kind of just quietly sneaking around, like, hey, how are you? Like, we're doing our thing. And then, and then you know what? They're back to exactly being the Clippers. So are we going to blame Doc Rivers for this again? Folks, you can't blame him for that. I mean, where's PG? I mean, okay, yeah, granted. I mean, game 2, I'll give PG. He scored. Oh, he was okay, but Kawhi can only do so much, and people are bringing up the fact that he could have been the king in Toronto, but now he decided that he wanted to be closer to home in Los Angeles. Look, he had 41 points. Look, I think PG, 28, but you could do more. Hello, Patrick Beverly, where are you? This is not your first rodeo. Where are you? Marcus Morris Sr., where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you? Nicholas Batum, where are you? Ibaka.
Yeah.
This is
Serge Ibaka, yeah. Playoff Rondo.
Yeah, or Rondo. We need more playoff Rondo. Look, Reggie Jackson's like, look, hey, I need help here, guys. I mean, like, come on. So, look, this needs to be more balanced scoring. They need to step up. If not, I mean, look, Luka's been playing great. Tim Hardaway Jr., I mean, where did he come from? I mean, he had a season high 28 points for him, so he's been kind of helping Luka out. So, I mean, I don't know what to say about this series. I mean, we all thought that maybe the Clippers could probably pass. The fact that no one's paying attention to them, maybe they'll show up. I'm still looking for them. I'm still looking. What do you think, Sid?
Yeah, I'm still looking too, but I actually have faith in the Clippers. They'll find a way to tie this series this weekend in Dallas. If they don't, you can burn this part of the tape. You're listening to Second City's. You listen to Second City Sports Weekend Edition along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. So we wind down our first segment of this program. Hopefully you enjoy your Memorial Day holiday weekend as we wrap up our last 2 series in the Western Conference as far as the NBA playoffs are concerned. Today's Game 4 will take place from the Rose Garden, a.k.a. the Motor Center in Portland, Oregon. It will be the Denver Nuggets against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Nuggets lead this best-of-7 series, 2-1. I had Portland winning in 7 games. I'm still going to stick to that. Lakeena, Portland better win today. For those of you listening on our audio version, Portland better win today, or else this series is over. The fourth quarter got them on the back of their leg on Thursday. Austin Rivers, a.k.a. the coach's son, his father, Doc Rivers, those of you scored at home. Now, Austin Rivers scored 16 points off the bench in the fourth quarter to help Denver with a huge win on the road.
And Jokic, too. I mean, it's hard to stop that guy. He's the first player to record 30 points and 50% shooting in each of his first 3 games of a postseason since Jordan did it back in 92. I mean, look, it's hard. You can't really contain Jokic if you're lucky, but I think the Portland kind of went back to their bad habits. I mean, some untimely turnovers, and I think just bad luck in that game 3. But I mean, look, you better hope that you need to, if you're Portland. I mean, look, Covington needs to step up. Look, I think Norman Powell needs to do more. Also, too, Nurkic needs to do more too. Look, I know he's got a tough task going up against Jokic, but I think you got to try to contain him, because if not, he is going to score at least 35 on you. So you need to try to contain him a little bit more. Look, Carmelo's doing his thing. Maybe McCollum could step up a little bit more. Lillard's doing his thing too, but he needs help. So there needs to be sort of like more timely stuff. And I think, look, if you look at Denver, look, Gordon's doing what he needs to do. Sorry about that, folks. You be quiet. You be quiet. Look, Porter Jr. has been playing very well too. So also too, like you said, Austin Rivers. So look, I think that the supporting cast of Portland, we know they can do it. They just need to step up and take it up a notch.
Yeah, but hopefully Carmelo Anthony can step up a little bit more for Portland coming off the bench. He did a great job in Game 1, but hopefully he gets some of that momentum back and help Portland tie this series up. The last series to review for you guys, actually Game 3 will take place tonight at 8:30 Saturday on ESPN. That's Game 3 between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Utah Jazz, as the series now shifts over to FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Of course, there was some more fans behaving badly toward the end of Game 2. We'll get to all that in our next segment. But as far as on the court is concerned, Lakeena, despite 47 points for John Morant in his playoff debut in Game 2, Utah took care of business in Game 2, and Donovan Mitchell had a big reason for that.
Yeah, I think you can tell in Game 1, the Jazz really missed him, and you saw how big of a difference he makes. So, and look, you commend John in his performance. I mean, I think that's definitely one of his career highs, especially in a playoff game. But he needs help. I mean, look, I think he can only do so much, and I think that this is where I think him not having kind of like that second guy to kind of like help him out, especially. So I know he had 41, but there's no balanced scoring with Memphis, so there needs to be. I think there needs to be help out a little bit more. Valanciunas, I mean, like he had 18, but he could do more. Dylan Brooks, 23, but he could do more too. Kyle Anderson.
I like Anderson.
I know he could do a little bit more too. Jaren Jackson Jr. That he could do a little bit more, and their bench guys get stepped up too. Grayson Allen. I know people hate. I know he's Matt. Pat's favorite player, but he's do a little bit more. Tyus Jones. I mean, come on now. I think look, your starters are doing what they need to do. I mean, they've all 5 were in double figures in Game 2, but the problem is that their bench guys the secondary guys need to step up too. So. Come on, guys, get it up. Get it going, I should say. That sounded weird, but.
We'll as we wrap up here, this first segment, we'll run down the schedule for you guys quickly as you celebrate Memorial Day weekend, watching NBA playoff basketball. For Sunday's action at noon Central Standard Time on ABC, it will be Game 4 between the Knicks and the Hawks, followed at 2:30 by Suns-Lakers Game 4 from Staples Center. TNT will have the Sunday night doubleheader as the Brooklyn Nets will take on the Boston Celtics in Game 4 live from TD Bank North Garden. We assume that the Nets will have a 3-0 series lead there. If you're smart, you'll think the same thing. And then followed by Game 4 between the Clippers and Mavericks in that Western Conference first round. And then for Monday, Memorial Day, there will be only 2 games in the association for the playoffs. 6 o'clock start time, Chicago time, will have Philadelphia against the Washington Wizards in Game 4 from our nation's capital, followed by Game 4 action between the Utah Jazz and the Memphis Grizzlies.
And on Tuesday, I mean, it all depends on how these series are. I mean, we're going to assume that Bucks will have swept Miami, so we'll ignore that. Brooklyn and Boston, this might be Game 5. I mean, I think Boston will probably win one of their games in Boston. We'll see where the Denver series is at that by then, and I'm sure this is probably going to be for the series for the Lakers as well in Phoenix. So there could be a couple of closing series. There might be some series that are already over with by then. We don't know yet, but we'll just let's let you know what's going to happen. So just that way you'll know.
All right. We're going to have to take a 20-second timeout on this weekend edition, the holiday edition of Second City Sports. On the flip side, fans behaving badly. We really got to dive into this. And college football, it has released the early part of their schedule for their network broadcasters. We'll get into that. And we're going to celebrate a special Memorial Day memory that's near and dear to both of our hearts.
Yep.
I know for those of you that are trying to guess, the actual anniversary was this past Thursday. For those of you that don't know, you'll know it in our next segment. Along with Lakeena McGee, I am Sidney Brown. You're listening to the Memorial Day Holiday Weekend edition of Second City Sports. Welcome back to the second half of the Memorial Day Holiday edition of Second City Sports Zoom Style.
Zoom Style.
Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, I am Sidney Brown. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80, SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow this podcast first right here on YouTube at War Media. Once again at WARR Media, as videos will drop first every Monday and Friday. Once again, videos will drop first right here on YouTube every Monday and Friday at War Media. You can find our audio version at War on Anchor, which drops every Tuesday and Saturday. Once again, at War on Anchor every Tuesday and Saturday for our audio version. We're available on all podcast platforms. Make sure you type in those search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. You can go to our website, weareregoradio.com, and you can follow us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube. Thank you in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. Subscribe.
One day we're gonna have subscribe flashing on your TV screens. You watching us here on YouTube.
We got and we're on
yeah, and we're unapologetically fun. Lakeena, as we get back to normalcy, as we get fans back in the stands for all of our sporting events, as we watch the NBA playoffs on our television screens, Lakeena, we gave props to the New York Knicks. They had 15,000 for games 1 and 2 in their home dates against the Atlanta Hawks. But there's something that disturbs me as we try to get back to normalcy here. As fans behaving badly, for those of you that have been living under a rock, of course, starting with the Knicks-Hawks series, Trae Young was spat on during the inbounds play in Game 2. The fan was caught and has been banned immediately from Madison Square Garden. In Utah, in Game 2, John Morant, the second-year point guard, his father was in the stands, and his father complained that there was some fans that were yelling racial epithets towards him and the rest of John Morant's family. Those fans have been banned from the Salt Lake City Arena, whatever their arena is called now. It used to be called the Delta Center. I know it's another stupid corporate name now. And then, of course, in Philadelphia, the home of the misbehaving fans. You can go throughout the history, folks. We won't get into it too much here. But during Game 2's win for the Philadelphia 76ers after Russell Westbrook's injured ankle, he hobbles to the locker room, and there was a stupid fan. I'm being nice here on YouTube. I could call him other names, but we won't do that here. But that foolish fan decided to dump some popcorn on Russell Westbrook in the tunnel. Now, Russell Westbrook got upset, and rightfully so, and alerted security guards. So some of them tried to hold him back. They did their jobs, but they weren't over aggressively. I was worried about that for a minute, but they held it back, and rightfully so. Now, did Russell Westbrook have the right to get upset? Of course he did. but he was held back, and then the security guards that went up to the stands thankfully got that fool out of there. He's been banned. Lakeena, I'll ask you this: in your years of attending sporting events, have you seen anything like these incidences?
It seems to be happening more and more, right? I mean, with the
Mm-hmm.
popcorn, and apparently someone spat on Trey Young at the Hawks Knicks game too, and then there was some other stuff that happened that you just mentioned. So, unfortunately, I think fans they think that, oh well, they tweet these guys, they message these guys, or and stuff like that. I mean, oh, they could do something, they could be a part of the action. Here's the thing, and I tweeted this yesterday. Like, you can pay your ticket, you can boo, you can cheer, you can scream, look, call them names, as long as you don't call them nothing racial, you can do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do something stupid like calling someone, the N-word or any other racial slur, or
Mm-hmm.
talk about their families, or, call somebody a B or whatever, call their mother or their wife or girlfriend or what have you a B or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you start throwing things, if you start, if you spit at them, I mean, those are the kind of things that should not be tolerated. And I'm glad that these arenas and these stadiums are realizing that they can't afford to be doing this. You're talking about the safety of these players. They're
Mm-hmm.
people too, believe it or not. And I know that folks don't want to believe that, but they're people too, and they have every right to, be secure and private as they can. So, all these crowds, and they get, hopefully with these crowds, I mean, I think they just dismissed a lawsuit that, some guy who called Donovan Mitchell, oh no, it was Westbrook. It was Westbrook, because he was with the, I think he was with somebody at the time. Someone called him a racial slur, and, that guy ended up, that couple, I think, ended up suing the, the organization, the NBA. That lawsuit was dismissed on Thursday. So, look, you can't just act stupid. You just can't do it. And I think that, the more all this stuff is, the harsher the punishment. I think this will get people to realize that, okay, maybe I shouldn't act like an idiot in the arena or in the stadium or what have you.
Yeah, I'm not giving these people an excuse, Lakeena, but I believe you when you say that some of these fans have they want to be part of the action for some odd reason or what have you. I know I don't want to generalize by saying this, but I believe some people, not all. Once again, I say some, not all. The higher the ticket prices that you pay for better seats, some of those people think that it gives you the right to act a fool. No, it doesn't. You're there to enjoy the ball game. You're there to see the players perform. You're not part of the action, folks. You're not.
And this is probably the one part where I think a lot of players probably did miss about, not having, limited crowds, not having no crowds at all. This is probably like, this is probably the part where they probably are like, and maybe it was a good thing we didn't have fans in the stands in some of these arenas, because look at how people are acting. I don't know if it's because people were cooped up in their houses or whatever, for over a year, but that doesn't give you the right to act like an idiot. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And hopefully, I think these people are being punished. Your pictures are everywhere. There are cameras everywhere now. So you can't hide behind, as you did in the past. The cameras will catch you. Somebody else will catch you, and security people will tell on you because you're making them look bad. So, you just gotta roll with the punches and just don't be an idiot.
I find it amazing. I was listening to some comments throughout the country these last 48, 72 hours. And going back to the incident with Russell Westbrook in Philadelphia from Game 2 the other night, I know some people try to give an excuse to the guy that threw the popcorn. Well, it's just popcorn. Yeah. Heaven forbid that was not a beer can, but a beer bottle or soda pop bottle or anything else. That still could be used as a weapon, folks. And what that guy did, that's still assault.
Mm-hmm.
By law.
Misdemeanor assault at least. So
thank you. That's still assault, whether it's popcorn or pop bottle or soda bottle or anything that you could be used as a weapon, whether it's dangerously dangerous like a gun or a knife. That's still assault. Any item that you use as a weapon, that's assault. Now, you know this as well as I do, Lakeena, that most of these fans, if they saw, I'll just use Russell Westbrook as an example. Most of those fans, and they're not really fans, they're idiots. Most of those people that think they're big and bad and decide to throw things, think they can get away with stuff, if they saw those athletes 9 times out of 10 in the streets without their uniforms on, They wouldn't pull that crap off. You know it and I know it.
Oh no,
So
not
they're
at
not as tough
all.
as they think they are because they're not.
Oh no. I think that it's just absurd that people actually they want to be big and bad. They hide behind their keyboards or hide behind the scenes. I
Hmm.
mean, look, what happened at Malice in the Palace? What escalated was some guy throwing a cup at Ron
Right.
Artest. So people forget that part of that that whole melee. So I think that
Hmm.
fans need to start behave. Look, if you want to put the players and the coaches in the pedestal, like they shouldn't act like idiots. Well, look in the mirror because you shouldn't act like one either.
Exactly. And I'm going back to Sox Park this weekend to take in 2 games of that Baltimore White Sox series. If you saw on social media from Monday's game against St. Louis, there was 2 girls fighting in the stands and in the bleachers for what I don't know, and I don't care at this point. But stuff like this shouldn't happen in any of our stadiums. Go there, enjoy the ball game, and let's behave like grown people, okay? Yeah, like you said before, you can boo, you can cheer without being excessive. Me personally, I'm too grown to boo. If I feel like it, I could, but maybe I give a grown or just roll my eyes if anything at this point because I'm too old, Lakina. I don't say that much on this podcast, but I'm too grown and too old to do childish stuff. Now, in my younger days, I would have booed, and I did a few times, but that's as far as it went. I never, go beyond racial epithets or anything like that. I never done that, so that's always been part of my conduct. You could boo and all that, but going excessive, no. I'm too grown for that.
Yeah,
And I
I
didn't
mean,
do it when I'm younger years. I sure as hell don't do it now.
yeah, I mean, I rarely booed when I was younger. I mean, like I might just boo like this and then just, then just stopped it there.
Hmm.
I never like insult anyone because I wouldn't want anybody to do that to me or to anybody in my family or any of my friends. So
Hmm.
that's why I never got at that level. Look, I just like to enjoy the games and entertaining. If you win, great. If you don't win, hey, look, as long as you get an entertaining game, that's fine. I mean, you can enjoy the game without having to like act like a Richard, as like I'll say, as Tom Waddle would usually say on ESPN 1000. Don't be a Richard. Don't be a Richard. And
Exactly.
y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Going back to what LeBron James said following Thursday's game against the Phoenix Suns, you get criticized for what he says on Twitter about others various issues. We won't get into that here, but sticking with this issue, I'm with LeBron James when he said that the league needs to do a little bit more to protect the players. I know he kind of backtracked just slightly following during his press conference on Thursday, saying that the NBA was doing a good job in protecting the players, but he was correct that you could boo, you could cheer, and some athletes get up for that stuff. And we'll talk about with Trey Young in a minute. But LeBron said that they get up when you boo and you cheer. As long as it doesn't cross the line, that's fine. But I did agree with him on his tweet that the players need to be protected more. You're in their line of work. No one has come to see you, idiot fans. We came to watch the players play and let the rest ref, and we'll go on from there.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing. And I think all these leagues, I think some leagues are tougher than others when it comes to that. I think the NFL has been, very, being more, restrictive on what to deal with when it comes to fan behavior. Like, I know you're in these big stadiums where like thousands of people. I think in college, I think it depends on the conferences. I think some are more lenient than others are. Others are a little more stricter. But I think there needs to be better security in some of these leagues because, look, I remember watching games like in the early 70s, like where the whole crowd, got into the field or got into the court, and you're like, okay, where the
Mhm.
hell's security? I mean, I remember watching, this was like in 88, I think, when the Lakers and the Pistons and that, classic, NBA Finals Game 7, the
Yeah.
7th
The
series.
game wasn't over yet. It was like 2 seconds left, like half the
Yeah,
Lakers bench and half the fans
half
went
the
on the
fans were
court.
on the
Yeah,
court. It
yeah.
was just crazy. Like I was surprised all those guys were able to get into the locker room. And if you saw how the setup of the old Great Western Forum was, the players were kind of like in like underneath, so they had to
Yeah.
took a beeline to the and Pat Riley with his very slick back hair. He still
Yeah.
look. Remember, he used to play basketball. Remember, folks. So that's why he was able
Hmm.
to run pretty quick. But I was scared for them because I was afraid someone was
Yeah.
going to hurt somebody. That was just
Yeah.
That makes me cringe though still. And
Thank goodness we
I
had
was
better
6.
security message today. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I was only like 7 when that happens, like 6 when that happened. So like I was scared. I almost ran out of the room. Like, what's going on here? Like, why are all these people out on the court? Like the game's not even over yet. So I felt this is actually one time I actually felt for the Pistons because I'm sure it took them a while to get back to their locker room too. So
Yeah.
it was just crazy.
Going back to that incident with Trae Young during Tuesday's game 2 between the Knicks and the Hawks, of course, he was spat on. I know that Trae Young said that this is his first playoff run, by the way, the third-year guard of Oklahoma. I know that that incident was terrible, but Trae Young says, minus that, I like the pressure. I like telling Knicks fans to shut up. And I watched both games via my computer, via the MSG feed, the Knicks feed. And I thought I heard something that wasn't quite right during game 1 last Sunday. They were saying blank you, Trae Young, or something to that effect. I was like, I didn't think I heard what I just heard, correct? Then my ears did not deceive me. We won't repeat that here. But like you said, you can cheer for your team, and you can. I don't want to say harass, but you can jeer the other team as long as it doesn't go overboard. But it's just some fans think they have the right just because you paid $100 or $1,000 for the ticket. No one's come to see you.
Exactly.
You stay in your seat, you behave, and everything will be cool.
Don't be a Richard. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't
Thank
be
you.
a Richard.
Thank you.
And then look, I think. And I think that how that incident occurred was, I think like somebody, I think this is like the DVR, this is when the technology comes in, somebody went back and actually posted on their Twitter feed, and that's when all that ball started rolling in that. So I think, and look, at this point, I think these leagues need to kind of come together and put some rules in place. That's probably the only way you'll be able. Look, if you do something stupid, you're banned. And if you try to go to another arena, you're going to be banned there too. And it needs to be universal ban. Don't try to go to another arena and then see if you can do the same thing there. But there needs to be a universal ban. But that's a whole nother story for another episode. But
yeah, it's a privilege, not a right.
Exactly.
You're listening to the weekend edition of Second City Sports along with Lakeena McGee. I am Cindy Brown. Let's move over to college football. Lakeena, the network portion of the schedule was released earlier this week, and this comes from our good friends at Awful Announcing. Both ESPN and Fox rolled out the college football announcements this past Thursday, and there was a lot of unpacking in both. To start with, let's look at the real early part of the season. The opening week 0 and week 1. Week 0 has been a growing focus in recent years. Not a lot last year thanks to the pandemic, but this year ESPN will feature UCLA Hawaii on Saturday, August 28th, and with the Fox Showcase game, Nebraska versus Illinois on the broadcast network on that day. There are 3 other games on that day as well. So the Utah versus San Jose State and UConn versus Fresno State, both on CBS Sports Network. And UTEP New Mexico State is still yet to be announced. Week 1 looks like this, with Fox starting with Ohio State and Minnesota in prime time on that Thursday broadcast on their broadcast network, and sending their Big Ten noon kickoff to Madison, Wisconsin, as Wisconsin Badgers will host the Penn State Nittany. Say that 5 times so fast. Nittany Lions. Yes, thank you. So say that 5 times fast. So Penn State and Wisconsin will pick up week 1 on Fox. Early big noon games for Fox this season. September 11th, Saturday, Oregon and Ohio State. That's going to be a good one. On September 18th, Nebraska, Oklahoma. I know you had something to say about that. And here in Chicago, on September 25th from Soldier Field, Justin Fields, probably soon. It'll be the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame taking on the Wisconsin Badgers.
That should be a lot of fun there at Soldier Field. And look, I think that I love how we get to peel the onion on these matchups like super early, where it's like late May, and it's like these days games will start in like another 3 months. But it's always good we kind of try to get into it. But some of these matchups look a lot of fun, as they usually are. And And looks like Fox is going all in with their big noon kickoff. That's I think that's been sort of like the thing. The ratings have actually been pretty good for that pregame show the last couple of years. So we'll see.
No Urban Meyer anymore.
Yeah, I know. And Bob Stoops taking over for that spot. So he's actually pretty good. He was great with the media too when he was at Oklahoma. So I don't think that's a big drop off there. But as far as Nebraska and Oklahoma, people like us who grew up watching that matchup, this was, a lot of times this is for a spot in the national championship. This is a spot for the, Big 8, then Big 8 now, and also Big 12 championships. Of course, Nebraska now in the Big 10. You're
telling your age.
I know. Look, this is one of those cases where I don't mind telling my age in this type of the folks Oklahoma. Look, the folks Oklahoma are not very happy that the matchup is at 11 o'clock our time. They released a statement. I'll try to bring it up. I'll try to read part of it, but they weren't very happy. I mean, look. I mean, they actually did have some games in 11 o'clock slot, the Oklahoma, Nebraska. So I think to say that, we don't like the fact that we're really disappointed that this rivalry on the 50th anniversary of the game of the century, that's the 1971 game that was on ABC, will kick off at 11 a.m. Didn't that game kick off at 11 a.m. too, our time, if I'm not mistaken? That was a Thanksgiving Day game. I'm not that old, folks, but but yeah. So I think it's just hilarious that they're Oklahoma's making a big stink about it. But look, I'm just glad that the rivalry is back. It took them a long. It took them about over a decade to get this rivalry back. We've been trying to get this rivalry back for years, and look, I'll take what I can get. Maybe Nebraska was a little bit better. Then maybe you guys would be a prime time. This would be a prime time game, which I think has only happened once or twice in that whole rivalry since it started airing on television. But come on, guys, you're 11 a.m. That's not. You're in big new kickoff. It's not it's not like you're it's coming 1 in the morning like some of these West Coast games. But come on now.
Yeah, we're not in Hawaii.
Right.
Continuing here, ABC's Labor Day weekend coverage includes the much anticipated Duke's Mayo Classic in Charlotte, featuring Georgia versus Clemson on Saturday, September 4th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 6:30 our time. Earlier in the day, on that day, the defending national champion Alabama Crimson Tide will face the Miami Hurricanes in a Chick-fil-A kickoff in Atlanta at 2:30 p.m. Chicago time. I'm definitely be tuning in for that one.
Mm-hmm.
On Sunday, September 5th, the week before the first Sunday of the NFL, by the way.
Yep.
September 5th, the Florida State Seminoles will face Notre Dame in Tallahassee at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time in the Capital One Sunday night kickoff.
That should be a very interesting game in that front. We'll see where Florida State is. I mean, I know some people are, I know some Seminole fans are kind of are wondering okay, where we are. But hopefully there's, a lot of those guys are going to be back next year. I think McKenzie Milton, I think, might be the quarterback by then. So we'll see how they look against Notre Dame. We'll see where Notre Dame is. And look, some of these games look really interesting. I mean, LSU and UCLA, that's a Fox game. That's one of those Fox games. That's a Sunday. The Saturday game, that Labor Day, I should say, weekend games. Arizona and BYU. Arizona's got a new coaching staff there. Let's see what else. I think that the fact that the crowds are these days are probably going to be full, or at least close to full, probably very likely. So that's I think that's another aspect. That's another layer to all this. Penn State, Wisconsin, like you said, so that should be a fun one.
Nittany Lions.
You're gonna be saying this.
Say that 5 times fast.
You're gonna be saying this for the next 3 months. It's gonna be all in your head.
Yeah.
Louisville and Ole Miss. September 6th. I mean, Ole Miss will be able to actually be eligible to go to a bowl game this year. I mean, they had some issues with the previous regime, so now those sanctions and stuff are all going to be out now. They're going to be finished now, so we'll see how they look. But yeah, I mean, look, these matchups. I mean, the week 0 matchups and now the week 1. I mean, it should be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, remember, we got a college football season last year, but we didn't get these out-of-conference matchups. And so it's going to be fun to watch some of these this year. You know me, Lakeena, I'm not a big-time college football fan, even though I've kind of grown to watch it because of what we do over the last few years. So it's going to be exciting. Going back to close out the article here from our good friends at Awful Announcing, Fox announced also their Thanksgiving weekend games going to Thursday, November 25th, with Fresno State and San Jose State on Fox Sports 1. The Big 12, Big 10, Mountain West, and Pac-12 all play on Friday, November 26th on Fox, FS1, and Big 10 Network, including Iowa and Nebraska in the Heroes game at 12:30 p.m. Chicago time on Big 10 Network. The regular season concludes Thanksgiving weekend with most of the heavy rivalry in all the sports as Michigan hosts Ohio State Saturday, November 27th at noon Eastern time on Fox.
Yeah, and then I'm sure these will all change as we go on this season. So it's not. I think in anticipation, I think it's going to be really gonna be amped up here. With like you said, Sid, with the fact that yes, we had a college football season, but in most conferences there was nobody there. So unfortunately, we didn't get that. But I think with the atmosphere, I'm sure things will probably some of these stadiums, like I said, are going to be like close to full, if not very full. So. Especially in the Big 10 and the Pac-12 and the American, all those conferences, all the conferences I mentioned probably didn't have very limited crowds. I think like in some cases with the Big 10, I think only family and close family were allowed to come in some of those schools. So to have full stadiums again, I think that this is going to be, it's already going to be a plus right there.
And now, finally closing out this article, this is, I believe, the week 1 extra from ESPN. They'll open up with the 2021 Texas kickoff inaugural Vegas kickoff classic, both prime for prime time. Longtime Lone Star State rivals Texas Tech and Houston will match up in the Texas kickoff at 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, home of the Las Vegas Raiders, will host Arizona and BYU. Following the action from Houston at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Yes,
all
rivals.
Yeah, and also too, the official week 1 college schedule on ESPN TV schedule will take place Wednesday, September 1st. ESPN will televise the neutral site showdown between UAB and Jacksonville State at 7:30 p.m.
FCS getting some of the smaller conferences getting some love there.
And also too, let me see if I can find it here. In addition to the Montgomery kickoff, the Crampton Bowl in Montgomery welcomes another inaugural neutral site showdown within the ESPN events collection. This was announced back in February, but the Tuskegee University and Fort Valley State will play in the first ever Red Tails Classic on Sunday, September 5th at 6 p.m. Chicago time on ESPNU. ESPN Events launched the event to honor the Tuskegee Airmen and the legendary Black military aviators who served in World War II.
Yeah, that's a very nice thing that they're doing for ESPN. ESPN has actually been very, more open to doing more things involving the HBCU schools, So I think that, having that game, especially on ESPNU, I mean, look, most people can get it. If you can't get it there, you can use it, you watch on your respective devices. Look, I'm sure the names, you won't know any of the names probably, but you know what, you get some great football, and I'm sure it'll be the battle of the bands there as it is with all these HBCU schools. So, if nothing else, tune in for the bands.
Yeah, can't we probably get some of those games on the main networks, ESPN and ESPN2, and don't put them on at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I know this is a start, but can we eventually move them up to at least ESPN2?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, and like you said, have them live, not tape delayed, but again,
thank you.
Like I said, that's another story for another podcast, though. So, but I think a lot of them are going to be on ESPN3. A lot of those HBCU games this year, like I saw, and I think they're also going to be on ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. And that's what that ESPN Plus is for, to stream a lot of those types of games. So you can look there. You can get it if you can get it. If you can get it, you can. It's right there. If ESPN3, ESPN Plus.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch Deion Sanders' school. I believe it's in Jackson State, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to watching his games in the fall. So I'm definitely going to try to catch those live.
It's going to be very interesting, though, with those FCS schools because they just finished their season. So
their spring season, yeah.
So it's going to be, it's going to take some time for those guys to heal up, and they go back to practice. They're going about 6 weeks. So that's not a lot of time, especially playing football. So hopefully, a lot of those schools can, especially the ones that wouldn't delve right in, Sam Houston State and also South Dakota State. Hopefully, those schools, you'll be able to kind of have the time to finally heal to heal up, so they'll be ready for the fall season.
Yep. Last segment of the show, Lakeena, as you're listening to the weekend edition of Second City Sports, along with Lakeena McGee. I am Sidney Brown. Hopefully, you're having a safe and joyous Memorial Day weekend. Last segment of the show, Lakeena, last topic. This past Thursday was a special anniversary for both of us as Chicago Bulls fans and as NBA fans. Of course, this time last year we watched The Last Dance as it was really the Michael Jordan story. If you paid attention to it,
Mhm.
and of course, doing one of their flashback segments, they reviewed the bitter rivalry between the Bulls and the Pistons. The anniversary was this past Thursday, 30 years ago this weekend. The Chicago Bulls, after getting beat down by the Pistons 3 straight years from 88 to 90, they swept the hated Detroit Pistons off the no longer now Palace of Auburn Hills court on the NBA on NBC. They swept the Pistons 4 games to none in the Eastern Conference Finals, finally getting the monkey off their back and on their way to their first championship as the Bulls defeated the Los Angeles Lakers and Magic Johnson in 5 games. As Horace Grant put it perfectly, those Detroit Pistons were straight up bitches.
Mhm.
I think that was a perfect line from the Last Dance. Horace Grant summed it up perfectly. Lakeena, I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan said it in the Bad Boys documentary. He was interviewed by Amar Rashad for another piece from NBA TV years ago. But Michael Jordan said in that Bad Boys 30 for 30 documentary, it wasn't for the Detroit Pistons. The Bulls wouldn't have found a way to win those 6 championships. It all started by going to the Detroit Pistons. We talk about the history with Isaiah Thomas and the Bad Boy Pistons going through the Celtics, Magic Johnson to a lesser extent the same thing. And so the Bulls' nemesis were the Detroit Pistons. I remember being at my family friend's house where it was me, her, and my late mom. We were all watching the game huddled up around the television. At that time, it was the biggest game in Bulls history. No one thought that the Bulls would be able to beat the Pistons that season, let alone be up 3-0 in that series. My mom and my family friend, they had season tickets, as I mentioned on this program before. They had season tickets, and remember that year the Bulls had home court advantage, and I actually went to game 1 of that series. It was jazzed up like nobody's business, and I wanted to ask my mom, like I was going to beg her to please let me go to game 7 because it would have been that following Sunday. Because
Mhm.
I in my mind I thought that the Bulls were going to play the Pistons in Game 7 to go to the NBA Finals due to what happened the year before when the Pistons won 4 of their home games in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bulls won 3 of theirs, but of course, Game 7 at the Palace the year before, we all know what happened with Scottie Pippen and things along that line. But it was a great moment at that time in Bulls history, still is to this day. We all know what happened to Magic Johnson a few months later after the Bulls beat the Lakers with his old situation with the HIV virus thing. I'm glad Magic Johnson's doing well today, obviously, which is
Mhm.
much more important. But at that time, Lakeena, I didn't think I thought the Bulls would beat the Pistons that year. I didn't think they were going to go up 3-0 in that series. No one saw that coming. No one did. I don't care if you're the most diehard Bulls fan or Jordan fan. No one saw that coming. But the only I tell people even to this day, it was cool that Michael and Magic Johnson matched up in the NBA Finals. Of course, that was NBC's first year in covering the NBA. They were going to do until their conclusion in the 2002 season. But the finals were great. But what I remember from the Bulls' first championship and sweeping away the Detroit Pistons, the Bulls finally got over that hurdle. They swept the Pistons in their own backyard. They made those crybabies cry. It was a sweet thing. You would have thought at that time, if you grew up in Chicago at that time, you thought that was the championship, but not quite.
Yeah, I think that look that whole moment. I think I remember where I was when that whole thing happened. I think people everywhere in Chicago were super excited, and the fact that they
Hmm.
finally were able to get over that hump and get that monkey off their back by being the Pistons. Now you could probably say that by then the Pistons had gotten older, so I think that might have
Hmm.
played a little bit of a part too. And when they when they played the Lakers, I mean the Lakers were sort of getting older too, and Magic,
Hmm.
since some of his health issues started to become more visible. And I don't want to say that they kind of walked into that, they walked through that title, but I think that first title, but I think they kind of did. They able to beat the Lakers pretty handily. They beat them in 5, but
Yeah.
six or
Remember,
seven.
they lost the first game. They didn't play
Yeah,
well. I'm talking about the
yeah,
Bulls. I was at that one, too.
yeah. Not get, and I understand that, but but that Lakers team wasn't the same. A lot like Magic was
Hmm.
older. I think Worthy was getting older too. So
Remember, he missed Game 5, both him and Byron Scott.
Yes, he did. Yes, they both did. So due to injury. So yeah, so that was sort of like a Lakers team that was kind of like on its last legs, if you will. I mean, they had won like 4 or 5 titles in that span, like 3 titles, especially in that span, like a 6-year span. So I think, they were mentally and probably physically exhausted too. But I think this sort of like led the way for the Bulls to kind of start that dynasty. And I think that was sort of like the key. I think, look, in that, beating your arch nemesis, the Pistons, I think can only help your confidence. And I think once they did finally get over that hump and beat the Pistons, I think that the Bulls were, started becoming more confident. I would love to hear more of Scottie Pippen's perspective, Horace Grant's perspective. We all know what Jordan's perspective was. We all saw The Last Dance, but I want to see more from Scottie and this perspective, what their mindset was when they finally beat the Pistons.
Yeah, I said this to Luke Nels when we had him on the Dean Davis show a few years ago. We had the 20th anniversary of that, and the 20th anniversary of that first Bulls championship season. And of course, we talked about it with Sherway Style here on this program before. Scottie Pippen was the best player on both teams, period. Games 1 through 4 in the Eastern Conference Finals. If they were handing out Conference Finals MVP awards back then, he would have gotten it. He was the best player, period.
Yes.
On either team. Of course, we mentioned what happened the year before with the migraine headache in Game 7. Dennis Rodman got in his head. Dennis Rodman tried to get in his head in 91, but it didn't work. Scottie stayed on his game. He was aggressive. He took the ball to the basket. He hit the open jump shot. He was Mr. Everything for the Bulls in 1991. Michael Jordan did his thing, but it was Scottie Pippen was the best player on the floor for both teams. He was my series MVP.
Look, I said it during The Last Dance. I'm going to say it here. I feel like Scottie doesn't get his due. I feel like, he doesn't, I think that, people look at Jordan and, and all the great things he accomplished, and it's great. But remember, he didn't start winning championships until he had a good second unit around him. And,
exactly.
Sort of like Magic and Kareem, and those guys. So, unfortunately, I think, I know people get, they yell at LeBron and all these guys for going into the super teams and such, but look, let's be honest, back then they probably would have done the same thing they could have. I mean, they could say that they wouldn't have, but yes, they would have. I mean, come on now. Try not to, don't try to be all like high and mighty and say, oh, we would never would have done that. No, but yes, y'all would have. If y'all would have done it, if y'all could. But back to Scottie, I think, look, Scottie should have been the MVP. And it stinks that they didn't have it. They didn't start having those conference finals MVPs like about 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, something like that. Something like that. So right around that time. So yeah, I think Pippen would have won those handily because he was the MVP of that series. He was the key to them sweeping the Pistons back in 91. That's just the numbers back it up, folks. We're not saying anything in hyperbole. The numbers back it up.
Yeah. So I wanted to pay homage to that. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, you can watch all 4 of those games in its entirety right here on YouTube. You have homework to do this weekend. Thank goodness I have all 4 games already on my DVD. So yes. I'll be watching those.
Yes.
And thank goodness my mother had a chance to watch those before she passed away several years ago. So I want to ask this one question, Lakeena, before we get out of here.
What's
and
up?
You just talked about how many of these superstars wouldn't have done what LeBron James and his buddies did several years ago and what they're doing now. Do you honestly believe, let's just say that in 1991, if the Bulls came up short against the Pistons again, and that would have been 4 straight years, do you honestly, in your heart of hearts, would have believed that, in your heart of hearts, that if Michael Jordan would have lost to the Pistons, do you think that Michael Jordan would have joined Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons?
Oh, I doubt.
Do you realize the believe?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so. I think he would rather have, went to, who was the worst team that year? I think he would have went to that team. I forgot who was the worst team in that season. I think he would have went to that team, rather have gone to that team than go to the Pistons. Scottie, different story. Michael, definitely not.
Okay.
What about you? What do you think?
I don't think he would have went to the Pistons. Maybe someone would have been in his ear, but I think he would have shot that down quickly. Like, I still want to beat Isaiah Thomas and those guys. I don't think he would have went to the Pistons.
It was a different mentality back then.
Yeah.
Sid. I mean, you want blood on the floor, you punch somebody, elbow somebody. Look, you can't do that stuff now, unfortunately, in the
Hmm.
NBA. But back then it was basically fair game. But I think some guys would have. I don't think others wouldn't have. I think look,
Yeah.
especially once the Celtics started having their injury problems, like in the late
Yeah.
'80s.
Hmm.
Do you really think MJ or anybody, if Isaiah could have went to after losing to the Celtics, you think they would have went? He would have went to the Celtics. I doubt that.
Nah. No, because there was bitterness between him and Bird as well, and we won't get into that here. But
Mm-mm.
I don't know before we get up out of here. I don't know if you heard this story, and I heard the story about the last year or so that there was rumors that the Knicks were trying to trade before they hired Pat Riley. The Knicks were trying to trade Patrick Ewing to the Golden State Warriors with Run TMC. That's Tim Hardaway, Mitch Richmond, now Hall of Famer, another Hall of Famer, Chris Mullin.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been interesting.
I don't know if they would have been able to win that Western Conference because it did become wide open as far as especially when the Lakers the Lakers started aging. But that would have been intriguing though. I wouldn't have mind watching that. I think
Yeah, and this is before Barkley joined the Suns, and Portland was running the rest of the conference then too.
And I think that they probably would not have traded Mitch Richmond. I don't think they would have done that had they were able to get Ewing.
Yeah, they did that a year or two early.
Yeah, they
Golden
did.
State. Yeah, they did that a year too early. I know Sprewell eventually replaced them with that draft pick, which was good, but they got rid of Mitch Richmond too early.
That they could have gotten a few miles out of that team. I really to this day I feel like that them and OKC, with Durant and Harden and Westbrook, that's another combo that should not have been broken up as early as they were.
Yeah, but Sam Presti decided to pay Serge Ibaka instead of Harden, but that's a whole nother issue for a whole another show.
That's another episode.
Yeah. On that note,
On that
this has been
note,
another fun. Yeah, this has been another fun episode of the weekend edition of Second City Sports. Hope you guys have a great and safe Memorial Day holiday weekend. You surely will be going back home to Sox Park to attend a couple of games as the Baltimore Orioles will finish up their battle on the south side against the Chicago White Sox. Lakeena, you doing anything special this weekend?
Like I said, my sister's having her birthday party, so that's gonna be a lot
Happy
of fun.
birthday to your sister.
Yeah, and also too, we're just gonna be grilling and stuff. So we're not ready for like the big gatherings just yet, but it's gonna be a few people here, so we're just gonna play it by ear and take it slowly getting back to kind of like the big gatherings, which is I think was what all of us should be doing right now. You're going to the park. You're going back to the park for the first time in over a year. I know you're gonna have a lot of fun. Hopefully, look, if you see our girl Lisa Burger meeting, make sure to say hello for me.
We'll do.
Or Janice or James. I know Janice is back there too.
Yeah.
So so have fun and stay safe and don't be throwing popcorn.
I'm a grown man. The last thing I'll do is throw popcorn or anything else, but for that matter.
All right. On that note, you can follow me at also too. You got the NHL playoffs too. They're going to the second round, so hopefully we'll talk a little bit more about that too later next week. But some good matchups there. So enjoy the sports, everybody. You can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter and at Keena_McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. You can go right here on YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. Videos drop every Monday and Friday. Once again, videos drop for Second City Sports every Monday and Friday right here on YouTube at War Media. You can go to War on Anchor or all podcast platforms for our audio versions, which drops every Tuesday and Saturday. Once again, every Tuesday and Saturday, our audio version drops on War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms. Make sure you type in those search engine boxes, WARR on Anchor. You can go to our website, weareregalradio.com, and you can follow us on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at War Media. Once again, at WARR Media. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Yes. For Lakeena McGee, I am Sydney Brown. Have a safe and great Memorial Day holiday weekend. Protect yourselves. Don't do anything stupid. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next week as we enjoy this holiday weekend with you guys. See you next week.
Till next time. Holla.
Very good.